I was amused because I've seen this before. And I have a feeling you've probably seen it too. You don't right now know what the Gen Z stare is, but I bet you've seen it. It's the gaze you receive from a member of Gen Z when trying to interact with them due to their lack of interpersonal social skills. There was a guy on TikTok that modeled, he said, this is the Gen Z stare. And have you ever seen that where the eyes kind of go back and forth? In fact, it's kind of a popular meme. Have you seen that little teddy bear where the eyes are kind of going back and forth? And
yeah.
That's kind of it. And it really is a playoff of what I was talking about yesterday when they were talking about the socialization of Gen Z and the fact that they're not throwing or attending parties like other generations before them did. And that number has dropped to a level where people are becoming concerned because, yeah, you may be there and boozing and doing keg stands and all this kind of stuff that ultimately is not great for the body and you make bad decisions, but you're out socializing. You've got human interaction. And that's why they're concerned, is because they're seeing all these issues, especially in the workforce, where maybe Gen Z is not as practiced socially as other generations that have come before them, and they're not getting out to practice anymore. And they wonder what that's going to have, because if they're teaching social behaviors to their kids and their kids' kids, where are we going to be in a couple generations if we don't learn how to socialize and interact with one another?
Troubling.
Well, I mean, it's social skills, meaning it's a skill you have to practice. I know even when COVID hit and I wasn't going out that much, it took me like a good 6 weeks to kind of get back in the groove of talking to a bunch of people that I didn't know.
Yeah,
it's a skill you got to kind of keep sharp.
You do. The more, it's like with any tool that you have in the toolbox, the more that you're out socializing. And look, a lot of us do not enjoy small talk or being in those kind of situations, but thrusting yourself in there and trying to act like you're engaged and have something to respond to, it does sharpen the skills. But what they're noticing for a lot of people in Gen Z, they'd be like going, so, hey, tell me about what you want to do with yourself. And they get this, there's no real response. They don't have anything on deck. They don't know how to respond. And so you get this awkward kind of silence and a stare, and the eyes are kind of working back and forth in their head. Be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now. And so it was kind of funny to see it modeled. I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I've kind of had that. I've got a couple Gen Zs. And I've seen it with some of their friends sometimes. You'll just say something, be like, oh, yeah, you look great today. And they're like, oh.
Do they still make kids do public speeches at school? Or is that something that makes them uncomfortable and they don't do it?
What does Cannon say? Does he have to get up and do any public speaking in high school?
I think he's had to do some presentations.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's rough for him. I'd like to see him do a lot more, though. I like to see that. Look, but I do. I'm an introvert. I think that I've got 2 out of 3 kids that are introverted as well. They're pretty quiet individuals. I've only got one that's a little bit hammy. But, that's kind of the way it goes. So I encourage that. I wish they would do it frequently, if not daily. And that's something for educators. As much as they hate it and as much as these kids are going to fight you on it, the more you can get them learning public speaking or in situations, even group work, where they have to communicate and talk with one another. These are the skill sets that, while you have them in a public setting, that kids today really need to learn so we don't get the Gen Z stare.
Because, I think a lot of people don't like public speaking, but it was something you had to do eventually during school. You knew that, oh boy, I got to give that speech. And some people would really dread that. But I do think that does help you in the long run.
Big time. Oh, it absolutely does. Yeah, and it's a skill too. And I don't think it's an excuse to say, well, I'm an introvert, so I just don't like to interact. Look, I am as well. But it's a skill that you need to have. And yeah, it is mentally exhausting for me to be in social situations, because if you're an introvert, you've got to flip a switch. You can be an extrovert, but I think what it does, it drains the batteries of introverts twice as much. You ever been in a situation where you're using an app and your phone just goes, and all of a sudden you're like, I just had 80% battery, now I'm at 5? Like, what happened?
You are that battery.
Yes, that's what a social situation is like to an introvert. My battery drained so fast. It's like having an app on that is just, and I'm exhausted after a couple hours of doing that.
You just want to go back home and just turn it off.
Yes, I want to go home and do the Gen Z stare. That's what happens. But I know it's good for me. I need that because I recognize it being a social skill. But that's it. I think right now they're kind of looking, and COVID was such a disruptor. And it almost put us in the expected box of stay home, don't talk to anybody, stay on your gadgets. And now we're trying to retrain our entire society, all of us, that no, we got to have human interaction. It's a skill set that you need to learn. And life is going to throw you problems, and you got to learn how to deal with those problems. And I know people in my generation, even and older, Gen X to boomers, are like, oh, the kids today haven't been through enough. They're soft. And those kind of things do. And I saw this today, which may back that up. They say Gen Z and millennial adults in the U.S. feel overwhelmed an average of 17 days per month. So more than half of the month, they are overwhelmed every day.
Because I don't think they know how to effectively communicate and get themselves feeling better. You have to self-soothe. You have to figure out how to do that. And if you don't have the skill set, because nobody taught you how to navigate these situations, and you navigate with communication, if you don't know how to do that, you just freak out.
That is really another skill set to have, is when you try to get yourself out of a rut or trying to say exactly what you're saying. I mean,
they just don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Part of this is not their fault, and why maybe a Gen X or a boomer is more exempt. A lot of this feeling of being overwhelmed is because of the digital age. And we didn't grow up with it. So we don't feel the obligation to be attached to some of these devices or to people on these devices. And when you ask Gen Z and millennials, over 80%, they say they're overwhelmed by their social, digital, and dietary lives. Those are the things that are making them feel overwhelmed. Trying to maintain relationships. It's so easy to stay connected that you feel like you're always tending to the garden. When somebody sends you 80 birthday wishes, you're like, oh gosh, I got to go through all these. When I was a kid, you saw 3 or 4 people be like, happy birthday, Nick. Oh, I love it all. But, now I myself, you sometimes feel overwhelmed when it's your birthday and you feel like you got to respond to 80 people to wish you happy birthday.
My daughter is a slave to these streaks on Snapchat where they just send each other pictures back and forth.
Yes.
And like, you can't let the streak die. And it's engraved in their brain. I'll just watch her do like 20 in the course of like 10 minutes in the car. She's taking pictures, send, taking pictures, send, taking pictures, send, taking pictures, like to keep these streaks going. And I'm like, what exactly are you doing? Like, what are you getting out of this?
Yeah. Streaking was so different in my time.
Streaking was fun in my time. Right. These streaks are lame.
Yeah, you're right.
And not everybody in Gen Z is like that, where they're constantly. I mean, there's people who are unplugging. In fact, I'm seeing some younger people who are in Gen Z going, I'm unplugging for a while. I actually don't like this.
I wish she would unplug, but her and all her friends, they're all the same. Streaking and sending pictures and a slave to it.
Yeah, they say digitally staring at screens is affecting 42% of Gen Z and to why they're feeling overwhelmed. And they say social media is a big part of that as well. That's at 35% are feeling overwhelmed by just staring at the screens or their digital media consumption every single day. It's actually stressing them out.
Oh, I can definitely tell you, yes, social media absolutely stresses me out.
And the other thing that makes them feel overwhelmed, I kind of get with that. If you're trying to live your best life health-wise, every day TikTok tells you need something else. Like, what is the one thing about fiber that is going on there now?
It was magnesium.
It's got a term.
Then it was fiber.
Fiber loading, or I don't even know what it is, the latest thing. But, they keep seeing this and they feel like they're not living right. They're not doing their best.
Unless I buy this.
Or unless you're doing what it's telling you to do with your diet. And it's so hard to stay on it. They're trying to choose healthy foods, but sometimes you don't know because they're all gimmicks, a lot of them. They're just trying to sell a product. They're trying to make them look like they're healthy. But Gen Z and millennials feel overwhelmed trying to find out what is legit, what is not. What should I be eating on a daily basis? That's overwhelming. So they said that some Gen Z and millennials are like that. They're starting to go with a less is more lifestyle and saying that is more appealing. I want to simplify my life and not listen to what people say I need to be doing it right. And I think that's a good thing for everybody. And if you're in Gen X or a boomer as well, recognize that and say that the world is kind of telling you how you need to live and you're feeling a responsibility and it's overwhelming you.
When there's so much noise, it's hard to think.
It is, exactly. So I think we all need to maybe step back and simplify and get back to real, genuine human interactions. Wouldn't that be nice?
It would.
You guys want to come over and do something like double dutch or something?
Leave the phone at home and go do something.
That's right. Absolutely.
So was that a no with the double dutch?
When?
We'll talk.
If you get Kevin to come to your house and skip rope, I think monkeys would fly out of my derriere.
Wow, that would be quite a day. Could you imagine I'm doing double dutch and monkeys are just flying right out of your behind?
I think that'd be a good
video.
That'd be a good day for social media.
But then people say, nah, it's AI. It's got to be AI. We get no credit for it. Yeah.